Hey there, it's Steve from Serious Keto, and this is the Not So Serious Keto video podcast. I will give you fair warning that the second half of this podcast is probably going to be kind of serious, though. Just, so you know it's coming. The first half of the podcast, though, is going to be really all about the Serious Keto channel, the website, some of the behind-the-scenes stuff that's going on. In last week's podcast, I mentioned that periodically there are little Easter eggs that I put into my videos. Whether it's a mispronunciation, sometimes intentional, sometimes not, some little something that might be in the background. It could be a line that I kind of sneak in that's from a movie or a song or something like that. And 2 weeks ago, most of you caught the reference to The Mandalorian and Baby Yoda, aka the child. The one thing that nobody caught, and it kind of surprised me because I kind of feel like you guys out there are pretty pop culture savvy, pretty familiar with movies. When I was pretending to read the phone book, starting with the first entry of Aaron A. Aronson, that was from the movie Hot Fuzz. Then in last week's podcast, I had something on the stool behind me. Some people saw it, but they weren't sure what it was. It was the Pop Funko figure of Bill Lumberton from Office Space. I got a ton of these, so periodically expect to see some of these in the background. Some people thought that one of the Easter eggs last week was when I used the word botten, as in store-boughten, which is not an Easter egg, that's just a word that I made up. I think sometimes there are certain Wisconsin isms that we either make up a word or we pronounce it a certain way. Even though I've been in Wisconsin for 34 years, I was born and raised in Sioux Falls, South Dakota. It's interesting, just, from Great Plains to Great Lakes, some of the differences in pronunciation and words that are used. There's things like soda, which is what it's called here in Wisconsin, versus pop, which is what we called it in South Dakota. When you go to the grocery store, you put your stuff in a bag. In South Dakota, you put it in a sack. Another interesting pronunciation I've noticed here is how people say Taco Bell. In Wisconsin, it's Taco Bell. So Taco Bell, South Dakota, Taco Bell, Wisconsin. I don't know if you can hear the difference, but to me it's all about that emphasis on the first syllable in Wisconsin. Taco Bell. So one thing you can count on as you continue to watch my videos is there will be some mispronunciations. Sometimes it's intentional, more often than not, it's accidental. The next topic, as it relates to the Serious Keto YouTube channel, is notifications. And it seems like every single video I put out, I get some people say, hey, I got a notification for this, but I didn't get a notification for this one. Or I'll have some people that say I get notifications all the time, and I have other people tell me they get notifications none of the time. And I have some people tell me that they go into settings and they see that notifications has been turned off when they know that they used to have it on. I've honestly given up on trying to troubleshoot notifications. I think it also can vary depending on the type of device you're on, whether you're on a PC or a mobile device, and if that mobile device is Android or if it's iOS, or if you're on a smart TV. If you're not getting notifications, all I can say is go into settings, poke around, see if you see anything. Aside from that, I don't know that I can help you. It's just a mess. And I can tell you that since YouTube quit doing email notifications, or at least they said they were going to quit doing email notifications, my views are down 30 to 40% versus what they typically are the day I release a video. So clearly people aren't getting notified and they're not tuning in. So I guess I don't know if this is at all helpful, because if you're already tuned in, then you must have somehow been notified, or you just get out here every Monday. But if you are having problems with notifications, I would advise you go in, poke around in the settings on whatever device you have, and see if you see anything that doesn't look right. If you're watching this video on the day that I released it, which would be Tuesday, September 8th, then you know that I failed in my promise. Well, maybe it's not a promise. It was more of a goal. Let's call it a goal. My goal to get a keto hot dog bun recipe out to all of you. This one has really been a struggle. I have really pivoted through 3 different recipes because they just weren't giving me what I wanted. Every time I think I'm getting close, I can't quite get it over the finish line. It's still one of the most important recipes that I'm working on, and I'm gonna keep working it, and eventually I'll get it. The lesson that I have learned is to not get so excited about something that I'm working on that I tell you and then make you excited, and then you're disappointed because I didn't get it out as quickly as I thought I would. But it's hard. I mean, I get excited. It's fun when I'm making something I think I'm very close and I want to tell you about it, but maybe from now on I'll keep my mouth shut. Another area where maybe I also should have kept my mouth shut, but again I got excited, was on getting the ProMix Nutrition protein puffs up to Canada. ProMix is working with Amazon Canada to get them stocked with both the unflavored and the chocolate protein puffs. And the process has been slow going. They keep thinking it's going to be any time now, so I keep thinking it's going to be any time now. Keep your fingers crossed. It's coming. Just know that it's coming. Also, on the subject of affiliate marketing partners, I want to share with you a story that was sent to me from one of my viewers, and it's about ChocZero. So this came from Jeremy B. He said, "Hi Steve, I have a quick ChocZero story for you. I got my order in today. I ordered 3 of the syrups and 4 bags of chocolate chips. I opened the box, and they had boxed my order in a nice ChocZero branded insulated zipped bag. Inside was 2 freezer/ice bags. Despite all of these measures, all of my chocolate chip bags were melted and solidified into one solid brick of chocolate. I immediately sent ChocZero an email and explained everything, and I told them it wasn't their fault. They did everything they could to prevent the melting from happening. I just wanted to let them know what happened. I didn't ask for a credit or my money back because I felt that it wasn't their fault. A short time later, I received an email from customer service, and they credited back all the money I paid for the bags of melted chips. I was blown away by their customer service. A+. They just won a customer for life with this simple, kind gesture. When you promote ChocZero next time, feel free to share my story of their great customer service if you want." Which I do, because I just did. It was delightful to read that. It really makes me happy knowing that I am partnered with a class act like that. I have ended affiliate marketing partnerships with a couple of companies because they weren't treating my viewers well. So I'm done with them. And it's like I said, it's nice to see then that I picked a good one here with ChocZero. So Jeremy, thank you for sending me that message. Moving along to my website. I recently moved my website from one hosting company to another. On the plus side, it seems to be behaving faster. I'm not getting errors. On the minus side, there's still some things that are a little bit goofy that maybe didn't quite translate from one host to the other. One of those things that I've been catching is that not all of the food pictures are showing up. So I need to go back in and probably re-upload a number of food pictures so that they show up properly. There's also some sort of leftover type things that I haven't gotten around to doing specific to the recipes. One of them is, I'm trying to remember, I don't remember the exact date. I know the video that it happened on. It was when I did the chaffle for people who hate chaffles video. So it was the get rid of the eggy flavored chaffle. For that video and every video and recipe that I had done prior to that, the makers of the recipe card plugin for my website did not include a field for total carbs. Actually, I think maybe they did have one for total carbs, but I changed it to net carbs. Long story short, everything from that video and prior, it only lists net grams of carbs. So I need to go back into all of them and update the icons and the values and get total carbs in. I'll get around to that. I've been kind of holding off on that though, because the recipe maker manufacturer has said in one of their next releases, hopefully the next one, that they will have a toggle switch so that you can enter the recipe both in US standard volume measurements and also enter it in grams and milliliters and all the metric stuff. And then users can just hit that button or slide that switch, whatever it's going to be, and it toggles back and forth between the two. I'd kind of like to be able to go in and do all of these fixes at the same time. So hopefully very soon that recipe card plugin will be out, and then my non-US viewers or the viewers that just enjoy the precision of measuring by weight and grams will be set. And with that, I'm going to insert a little ad break here, and then we're going to come back and I'm going to share some pretty personal stuff with you. Now, I'm sure a lot of you have watched my transformation series. It was a 6-parter thing that I did where I shared just what an absolute train wreck my life had become, and then how I got things turned around. Mentally, emotionally, physically, improved my health, lost a bunch of weight, and eventually started serious keto. And I realized that there are some loose ends, especially from the first episode, where I talk about all of the pretty unpleasant things that happened to me back in 2018, that I never really closed a lot of those out. And I'm probably going to do, within the next couple of weeks, an epilogue to that series. So you can find out some of the things that happened and how they resolved. Did they get better? Did they get worse? Etc. One of the things that I talk about, though, in that video is when my son came to me the day after he graduated from high school to tell me that he was going to be a dad, and how I wasn't at all prepared for that. I wasn't ready to be a grandpa. I still kind of find it hard to believe that I actually am a grandpa. I think back to, my childhood. I always saw grandparents as being really old people. Maybe they weren't much older than me, but when you're 4 or 5 years old, a 50, 52-year-old, 53-year-old, maybe that person seems really old. But I know, like, when I was 4 and my grandpa died, he was, I think, 83. So, he was old. But anyhow, I still, to this day, it's weird to me to think I'm a grandpa. My son Connor has handled this whole thing in a way that makes me so incredibly proud. He was at college at the University of Wisconsin in Madison, and he started coming home every weekend and spending the weekend with his son. And then when the whole COVID thing kicked in March, he had come home for spring break, and basically at that point, school got shut down and everything went virtual, and he stayed home. And Colton, my grandson, essentially moved in with us. And to a large extent, so did my son's girlfriend, Jaden. As I watch Connor be a dad, it is the most amazing thing. It's so hard to not just be enormously proud of him. And he spends pretty much every waking moment with Colton. And the patience that he has and the love that he shows, he never gets frustrated. And it's the most like loving, nurturing father-son thing I've ever seen. It makes me feel like I did a crummy job, raising him, because he is so good. He is so good at it. And he decided that he was going to stop going to school at Madison and instead go to school here locally. He also started putting a lot of thought into the future. And how can he start a family at his young age, coming out of school with $100,000 or more in debt? And so he decided that he would join the Army National Guard. And they will pay for the rest of his education, and he gets a nice little signing bonus, and then he'll get his pay for his one weekend a month. But he made this decision because he wanted to be financially prepared to be a dad, to be a husband, and he wanted to basically kick off a life with his family that wouldn't be immediately burdened with debt. So he made this decision back, I think it was in early April, and this was way back before a lot of the civil unrest that we're seeing in certain cities where the National Guard is being called in. This had nothing to do with that. This was all about taking responsibility for himself and for his family and for his financial future. But because of all of the COVID stuff, it really kind of changed the timing on when all this was going to happen. and it happens today. So today, we will be dropping him off at a hotel where he's quarantined for just one day, and then he will be off to boot camp for 4 months. And I know that it's going to be difficult. It's going to be difficult for all of us. It's going to be difficult for him to be away from his son for that long. It's going to be probably difficult for Colton. He's probably going to be kind of confused as to where Daddy went. It's going to be difficult for Jaden. It's going to be difficult for my wife Terry and for me. And it's going to require some strength from all of us. It's one of those things, and I don't want to make this about me because it's not about me. It's about Connor and his son. But I'm a very empathetic person, and as a result, I'm sort of projecting myself into what the rest of the family is going to experience over the next handful of months. And it's my hope that it goes by quickly and that we all can put on a brave face and make it through. I'm sure we will. And even though it's going to be, I think, a bit of a struggle, it's again one of those things that just, I'm so enormously proud of Connor. I would have never had the courage to do something like that at his age. I would have never had the responsibility to do something like that at his age. I didn't even know that I would be able to do it at my age. I don't think I'd want to be away from my Xbox for 4 months. So life is going to be different here. It's going to be different through January. And after that, I don't know. I don't know if he comes back home or if he decides that he's ready to get his own place or how things are going to work. But what I do know is that it's going to allow me to get back on a more regular schedule. It's going to allow me to really put a lot more focus into serious keto and potentially another lean sort of startup idea that I have. But for the most part, I think I'm going to be able to really, really focus very hard on treating serious keto like a full-time job. And honestly, that's going to be necessary if I hope to make this thing sustainable by the end of the year. So that is a positive side to all of this. I think also my food bill is going to go down significantly because Connor eats like a horse. Having him live here, it's kind of like having a second refrigerator. A refrigerator, about 6 feet tall, it's in your kitchen all the time, and you put a bunch of food into it. That's basically Connor. I think also with Connor being gone, Jaden in school, my daughter Courtney in school, my wife and I will be able to get more quality time together. And who knows, maybe I can start getting her into some of that keto cooking, maybe kind of start inching her over into keto. That would be nice. But that's my personal update. That's what's going on. I've known that this day was coming for a while, and it didn't really start to sink in until we got about a week out. And still, I don't know that it completely feels real. I know that after we drop him off, that's going to be a little bit of a tough stretch, for a couple of days for me. So this week, I don't know. I don't know what you're going to see in terms of videos besides this. There may be one on Thursday or Friday. Who knows? Maybe I'll be super energized. Maybe I'll pour myself into the work and keep myself distracted, and maybe you'll see a couple more videos this week. But as I've said in some of these podcasts, I really feel that we have a community here with Serious Keto. I feel that I'm able to share with you and let you know what's going on, and certainly from the comments, very many of you have shared a lot of personal stuff with me and other members of the community. One thing you can always count on from me is transparency. I have no hidden agenda, not real good at keeping secrets. So hopefully that little segment didn't bum you out. Hopefully you're excited. Hopefully you're excited about me being able to really, really pour myself into Serious Keto and start cranking out some content and maybe getting that hot dog bun finished. But that's it for this podcast. Thanks for watching or listening.